Hi there, all my crochet nerd friends. This is Ashley with March Flower Studio. In today's video, I am going to show you how I make my little sunflower keychains. And they are very easy to make, very fast. I do mine a little differently than some of the other patterns that I have found. So I kind of created this one because it was a little bit more organic, I guess is the best word to use. For how I crochet. A little bit of it might take a little bit of time to kind of grasp, but that's why I wanted to do a video of it, so I can kind of show you and you can kind of go back and rewatch as many times as you need to. So to get started, I have my coffee brown for the center part of my sunflower and my sunflower yellow. I think this is one of the Karen, like 1 pound colors. But any brown and yellow, or if you wanted to do this pattern with other colors, you know, the sky's the limit in creativity with this, right? I am using my 4mm hook. I use my 4 for most of my projects that are the smaller ones, the keychain size, just because it helps my stitches be even more tight, so that, you know, as a zipper pull or hanging from keys, it's going to last longer because it is tighter. I have found that a lot of the times when I have something that is looser made with a larger hook, they tend to kind of stretch out a little bit faster. And, you know, I've got kids playing with some of my things to kind of see how they'll hold up against toddlers. But they do tend to stretch a lot more, so I try to always go down a hook or 2 sizes, depending on, you know, how small I can use to get away with. Because as we all know, sometimes if you try to use a hook that's too small with a bulky yarn, it's just not gonna work. But as with most projects, we are going to start with a magic circle. So any way that you make your magic circle is fine. If you've seen any of my other videos, it doesn't really matter if you do a magic circle or if you do the chain 2 and then put your stitches into the first chain that you made. It doesn't matter if you yarn over or yarn under. It changes the texture a tiny bit, but it's not going to change the pattern. Okay, so we have 6 single crochets to start with here. And then we'll pull this tight. I'm not going to tighten it all the way down until I get a couple rows out on this little sunflower center. All right, so our next row is 6 increases. So you'll have 12 stitches total. So there's 1 and 2, 3 and 4, 5 and 6, 7 and 8, 9 and 10, 11 and 12. Sorry, you guys, my allergies are year-round at this point, and sometimes they're definitely worse than others. All right, our next row is going to be an increase in a single crochet, so we'll be going out to 18. So I'm going to do my increase, so 1 and 2, and then 3, and 4 and 5, and then 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11, and then 12, 13, 14, and then 15, 16, 17, and then 18. All right, now I am going to pull this all the way tight so that does not come undone later on. And for our next row, we're going to switch over to half double crochets. So we're going to have 18 half doubles. And I'm just going to jump straight into my half double. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18. Okay. So this is where it gets a little, we'll say squirrely. We're going to do the third loop for this next row. So it is easier if you kind of, you know, instead of having your right side puffed up and out, we're going to let it kind of sink in because it's just easier to reach this third row of stitches on this back side. So you have your 2 that are your top, but then back here you have another third loop, and that's the one we're going to work into for this row. And we're also doing a decrease. So I'm going to start with, you know, third loop here and just do a single crochet. And then the next one, I'm going to do a decrease. So I'm going to go under that loop and pull up, and then go under the next one as well and pull up. So you should have 3 loops on your hook. So then you yarn over and pull through all 3. And I know that not everyone does their back loop decreases this way. Any way that you do a decrease back here is fine. I know sometimes you're like, oh my God, I do not understand what just happened. As long as you're doing a decrease in that third loop, you're good. All right, so there's 3. And then here's my decrease on 4. My single on 5. My decrease on 6. My single on 7. Decrease on 8. Single on 9. Decrease on 10. Single on 11. And decrease on 12. Okay, so now we will pop this back right side out. So you've got this cute little button flower center, and then I'm going to leave my tail kind of hanging out here, but I'm going to do 6 decreases, and I'm going to do 2 and then put a little bit of stuffing in the middle, just a tiny bit, just to help keep its shape once it's closed up, because we want it to stay where that center part is a little puffy. So tiny little bit of stuffing, because these are not big. Actually, we're going to do a couple of decreases here first so it stays in better. So there's 1, 2, 3. We'll pop that back in there. And then we'll do 4, 5, and 6. Okay, so we're gonna cut our yarn, pull that through, and then we can go ahead and close this up with our invisible finish. So if you haven't seen one of these videos before, I'm gonna try to get a little bit closer down here. Oh, my light's in the way. Okay, so we are going from the front loop, from the outside to the inside. Let's see if I can get a little bit better light here on this, because I know with the darker yarn it gets a little hard to see. Okay, so front loop only. Outside to inside, and you're going to do that to each one of these last stitches all the way around. Okay, so we'll pull that tight, and I use this starter tail just to make a little square knot. And then we will poke these ends back through here. And trim them off. Okay. So that is the center of our sunflower. All right. So for the petals, I'll bounce back out a little bit here. I'm going to start my slip knot with my yellow. And that's just something that I prefer to do when attaching a new color like this. If you just like to go through and pull a loop up, that works too. So we're going to do front loop only. So I'm going to go into that first half double that we made here. So here's the end of my half doubles. So here's the first one. I'm going to go under just that front loop and pull a loop through. So I've got my little little single crochet there. And then I'm going to do a chain 2. Okay. And then in this same loop, we're doing a double. And then we're going to chain 2. And in the second chain from the hook, we're going to do a single crochet. You could also do a slip stitch if you kind of prefer, but with the sunflowers, I noticed that it doesn't make that much of a difference in this point on the petal. So whichever is easier for you. You can do a slip stitch or you can do a single crochet in that chain. They look pretty much the same. And then we're going to do another double, still in that same front loop. And then we're going to do a chain 2. And then we're going to slip stitch into the bottom of that petal. Okay, so all that was in the same front loop. Then we're going to skip the next stitch and move over to the next one after that and do the same thing. So we're going to go under, we're going to do just a slip stitch, we're going to do a chain 2, we're going to do a double, do a chain 2, and that second chain from the hook we're going to do our slip stitch or our single crochet, and we're going to do another double, and then chain 2 and a slip stitch back into that bottom loop. And that's what we're doing all the way around. Okay, so skip the next. In our next working stitch we're going to do our slip stitch, chain 2, and do our double, chain 2, single crochet in the second chain from the hook, double, chain 2, and slip stitch back. All right, so then skip 1, chain 2, double, chain 2, single, double, chain 2, and slip. All right, skip, slip, 1, 2, double, chain 2, single, do our double, chain 2, and then slip into the bottom. Skip 1, slip stitch, chain 2, double, chain 2, single, double, chain 2, slip, skip 1, slip, 1, 2, double, chain 2, single, double, chain 2, and slip, skip 1, slip, chain 2, double, chain 2, single, double, chain 2, and slip. All right, skip. And then we have this is our last front petal. So we'll just repeat this. And the back petal is very similar. There's a tiny difference in how I do the back row. Okay. So if you just wanted one row of petals, you're done. You can trim this off, tie these two together, tuck the tails in, and you're good. Okay, if you want the double petal, like most sunflowers have tons and tons and tons of petals, right? So I like to do the double row. For the double row, it's the same kind of repeat, only we're doing a treble instead of a double, okay? And I stagger them so that they're not just right behind each other. So you can see, like in this one, you've got the two front petals, but then this back row is kind of centered in between. So we're using this back row, or back loop, from that same row we just used. And we're going to be going, that's a little hard to see with the dark brown. So here is our yellow from where we did our little skip a stitch. So we're going to be using that brown that's right underneath that. Okay. So the brown one right underneath this longer yellow piece. So we're going to jump over into that very first one. So we're skipping like 2 stitches there. We're going to do our little slip stitch. We're still doing a chain 2, but then we're going to do a treble. So we're going to yarn over twice to go down through that loop. Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And then the same chain 2, and then single crochet, and then another treble, chain 2, and slip back into that bottom. So I like to use the trebles here because it makes them just a tiny bit longer so they don't get lost behind that front row. Okay, so again, where we have this longer yellow here, we're going to use the brown loop that's right underneath, and we're going to do our slip stitch, our chain 2, our treble, chain 2, single, treble, chain 2, and slip back into the bottom. And that's all we're going to do until we get all the way back around to that front petal. So slip, chain 2, treble, chain 2, single, treble, chain 2, and slip, skip 1, chain 2, treble. And if you just really wanted to do doubles on this row, that's totally fine. Because as long as you're still putting them in that spot in between the petals of the front row, they're still going to be seen. I know some crocheters that really just dislike trebles, and will try to avoid using them if at all possible. Okay, so I'm all the way back around. I'm going to cut my yarn off. You don't need a long yarn tail. Pull it through. And I'm going to just use my crochet hook to pull this front tail through the bottom of that petal there. And then again, I'm going to just tie a little square knot. And then we'll take our yarn needle. And we'll just poke it right down through the middle there. I like to come out in between the 2 rows of petals. Trim that off. Oops. And our little sunflower is finished. Okay. So make sure you hit the like and subscribe buttons. If you haven't subscribed already, it will send you notifications anytime a new video is posted. Make sure you check out all of the videos that have already been posted. There are so many cute and easy projects to make. Lots of them don't take more than an hour. There are a couple projects that'll take a little bit longer, but they can definitely be done in one sitting. I like doing small projects like this for videos just because it's something new and different to kind of take a break from some of those larger projects that definitely take a lot more time to finish. You can follow me on social media with Facebook and Instagram are both at Marshflower Studio. I also have a website, themarshflower.com, where I have most of the things that I make for sale. There are also some links for videos on there on how to make some of these adorable little creations. I also have a shop on Etsy, so make sure you check that out as well. There will be a written pattern for this sunflower, and there will be a link to the Etsy pattern in the description. So if you would like to see the written version to kind of help follow along with the video, that will be there for you as well. So thanks for watching and happy crocheting.